A United Nations-backed panel says Gaza City and its environs are now suffering from a famine, with the risk of starvation expanding to the rest of the territory by the end of September. I'm joined now by Dr. Mohamed Moawad, the managing editor of Al Jazeera, the broadcast network that lost one of their journalists in today's strike. And Dr. Moawad, thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. I know this has been a dreadful day for everyone who works for Al Jazeera, and of course, sadly, by no means the only dreadful day that you and your colleagues have experienced. What can you tell us about the Al Jazeera journalist who was among the dead today in Gaza City, in Gaza?
Thanks, Simon, for having me. It's another devastating day. We've just mourned our two colleagues in North Gaza days back, and today we are losing another one. It's Mohamed Salama, a very brave and dedicated photojournalist who used to work from South Gaza, Khan Yunis, stationed there. So the Mohamed Salama and his colleagues in South Gaza, they were mainly stationed in South Gaza from the beginning of the war, uncovering the atrocities, bringing to the world the eyewitness account, and really been the ears and eyes of what's going on in South Gaza since the beginning of the war. This is very devastating, not only because this is not the first time a journalist is killed in Gaza. Now over 200 journalists, local journalists in Gaza, were killed in this war. But because Mohammed is a young journalist who was almost getting married in a couple of days, and he lost his life in this targeted killing by the IDF. The fact that they were trying to rescue their colleagues who was live streaming for Reuters from Al Nasser Hospital, and they were targeted while they are rushing him to the hospital is telling. I mean, the fact that local journalists are being smeared, are being intimidated to stop the coverage, are being targeted, killed, is telling. This is a strategy, a pattern that we are seeing from the Israeli government. They are trying to silence the story. The same time we are hearing about an intensified operation in an area, you would see them targeting journalists, trying to silence the story and the coverage from there.
Dr. Moawad, the Israeli government, of course, as you know, says it's not trying to silence journalists. It says it is conducting operations against legitimate targets. And in several cases, when in the past Al Jazeera reporters and technical staff have been killed, some of them have been accused by the Israelis of playing a role in Hamas itself. Your response to that?
Well, it is not only unfounded allegations, but it's really as ridiculous as it can get. I mean, you kill someone, you investigate your killing of someone, and then you come up with the verdict and tell the world about it. I mean, how on earth this is something logic? I mean, the fact that the Israeli government is killing journalists and then smear them and even intimidate them first and then killing them and then smear them and then come operatives for organizations and stuff like that is something that no one on earth would believe in. I mean, this time they choose not to say that they have targeted a Hamas operative. This time they have chosen to apologize, to say that they regret. But that's a pattern that we are seeing now.
That was Dr. Mohamed Moawad, the managing editor of Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, the broadcast network that lost one of their journalists today in the strike on the Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza that claimed at least 20 lives, 5 of them journalists working for international news organizations. Dr. Mohamed Moawad, thanks very much indeed for joining us on what I know must have been a very difficult day for Al Jazeera.
Let's speak to Jodie Ginzberg, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Committee to Protect Journalists. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Do you have any further information about how many journalists?
Well, we know of 4, but we believe a 5th may also have been killed in this attack. What we understand to have happened was that there was a first strike that killed cameraman Hussam al-Masri, who is a contractor for Reuters news agency. He was killed in the first strike. And then there was a second strike shortly after, when other journalists and aid workers came to the scene of the first strike.
I'm looking at what the IDF have said. They say they carried out an attack on the hospital. An investigation had been ordered. It added that it does not target journalists as such. However, they've also said that it had targeted Anas al-Sharif, a prominent Al Jazeera reporter, alleging he had served as the head of a terrorist cell in Hamas.
Well, simply not true that Israel doesn't target journalists. We have documented at least 192 journalists killed since the start of this war. These latest killings would bring it to 197. At least 26 of those we believe to have been deliberate, targeted killings of journalists. That means with the full knowledge that those individuals were journalists. And in none of those cases has Israel produced credible evidence that the individuals, some of which it's accused of being terrorists, were such. A reminder that journalists are civilians. They must never be targeted in war, and to do so would be a war crime.
You'll know better than I. Is this the first time that the IDF have specifically said this particular person, who happens to be a journalist, was targeted because we think that he was involved with Hamas? How many times has that happened?
That's happened a number of times, including with the journalist Ismail Arqoul and others. That we've seen that several times during this war, that it has killed journalists and then accused them of being members of Hamas, but provided no credible evidence. Of course, 2 weeks ago, that attack that killed Anas al-Sharif, the Al Jazeera reporter, also killed 5 other journalists, and Israel has yet to offer any explanation for why it was acceptable to kill those other journalists whom it has not accused of being terrorists, has not said anything about why those killings were justified, and there's been no investigation or no reporting from Israel into that. It's again said today, I believe, that it was targeting a camera that it said was operated by Hamas, but we know that there was a camera being operated by the Reuters cameraman who was killed in this first attack.